Hello, everyone, and welcome to Express Truck Tax. Today, we are going to be talking about many of the most frequently asked questions when it comes to the Form 2290. And so I thought it would be important to go over these questions so that you have a better understanding of the Form 2290. And then again, we'll kind of show you a step-by-step process with some of these questions so that if these things happen to you, you'll know how to fix them. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to spend a little bit of time with you this evening. And as always, with the past couple of webinars, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the question and answer box. And also at the end, we'll have a brief time where you can raise your hand and ask questions live on air as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask throughout our time together. I am with my friend Caleb, and so we'll be answering questions as I'm answering questions here tonight. So we'll go ahead and get started so that we start on time and we get this wrapped up. And if you haven't filed your 2122 Form 2290, you need to do that today, tonight, now. Because the deadline is coming up in just 2 short weeks. And you know how these weeks fly. So get that done so that you don't miss the deadline. So we'll go ahead and get started. I just want to quickly introduce who ExpressTruckTax is. If you don't know who we are yet, you might have been living under a rock, but ExpressTruckTax is the leader of the e-file providers since about 2011. And so we've been doing this for a long time. We have a lot of experience and a lot of contacts in the industry. And so we're not just an e-file provider for the Form 2290. We have a lot of other products here as well. Everything from TruckLogix, which is the TMS for your trucking business, to PayWow, which does payroll, Tax Bandits, which does the W-2 and 1099s, depending on how your business is set up. So we have lots of different software here, but ExpressTruckTax is one of our leading softwares, and we're extremely proud of this product. And so again, we are located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And if you are in the area or driving by, stop by and see us. We're off of exit 82C. We're off of exit 82C. I give directions like when you see that red sign, turn right there. That's my direction. So you don't want to follow my directions, but my trusty friend Caleb says that we're off of exit 82C on I-77. So stop by and see us if you're ever driving by. And because we've been around for so long, of course, we've processed millions of forms and billions of dollars of tax payments. And so all that to say, we know what we're doing, and we're proud of who we are and what we represent. So let's go ahead and jump into to our topic tonight, which is the top 10 most frequently asked questions that we get here at ExpressTruckTax. Number one would be, how does the IRS collect the HVUT or the 2290 payments? The number one thing to know here is that your payment goes directly from you to the IRS, no matter how you choose to pay the tax. So I'll kind of bring up the next point too, because it brings me these 2 points together, is that there are multiple different methods to choose when you're making your tax payment. So there's electronic funds withdrawal, there's EFTPS, check or money order, or using a credit or debit card. However, no matter what way you choose to make that tax payment, it goes directly from you to the IRS. So if you enter your bank account and routing number, the money is directly debited from your bank account from the United States Treasury. If you choose EFTPS, you go to EFTPS.gov and you move the money from this account to this account. Check or money order, you are given a payment voucher, but you make the check or you get the money order and you send it to the IRS. The same thing with credit or debit card. If you choose that option on ExpressTruckTax, you are given a link. You're provided with a link that takes you to irs.gov/payments. And then you can choose an IRS authorized processor there and make that payment. So no matter how you choose to make your tax payment, it's going directly from you to the IRS. It does not come through ExpressTruckTax. It goes from you to the IRS. So a lot of times we get a question, well, we filed our 2290 with ExpressTruckTax, and then I got a letter that said I didn't make my payment. There's 2 steps when you're filing your 2290. The first step is filing the form. And that's what you do with ExpressTruckTax. You pay ExpressTruckTax to take the information that you enter, and then we put it into the coding template that the IRS wants, and we send it to them, and they accept or reject your return. That's what ExpressTruckTax does, is we file the 2290 with the IRS. The second part is making your tax payment. The only way to make the tax payment, quote, automatically is by choosing to enter your bank account and routing number on the IRS tax payment screen within ExpressTruckTax. If you choose EFW and enter in your account and routing number, the IRS will debit your account within 1 to 2 business days. All of the other methods require a second step. Number 2 is, why should I file now? What is the big hurry? What do I need to file now for? We get all those questions all the time. So number 1 is you want to have that peace of mind that your Form 2290 is filed before the deadline. And we'll get into this a little bit more in just a minute, but you want to make sure that you file your Form 2290 before August 31st. There are penalties associated with not filing, and there's penalties associated with not paying the 2290. So we'll get into that a little bit more, but for right now, you want to know that it's done. You come to expresstrucktax.com, enter in your information. If you choose to pay the IRS with a check or money order, credit or debit card, or if you have an EFTPS account set up with the government, you can file your 2290. You're going to get back your stamp Schedule 1 now, today, and then you just need to mail that payment before August 31st. So you want to make sure that you have that done, and we'll talk about the penalties in just a minute. But also, you also want to have time to fix any mistakes that you might have made. And so if you wait until August 31st, number 1, it is like berserko crazy to file on the deadline. Support is crazy busy. And so if you have questions, we are here, and we will be here until midnight. We are every single year, and we will try to answer your questions as quickly as possible. But if you file on the deadline and your return gets rejected because of, any number of reasons, you're at the deadline. If you don't get it fixed right then, there's not much we can do about that. If you file now and you have a mistake, maybe you filed with the incorrect address, or you filed under the wrong name, or it's rejected because, there was a wrong number in the routing number. All of those things can be fixed, and you can call our support team, and we're more than happy to help you. We'll send you steps to how to complete it. We'll talk to you on the phone. There's lots of things that we can do now. If you wait until August 30th or the 31st, it's going to be really tricky for you. And so you want to have that peace of mind that you can file the 2290. If something does happen and you do make a mistake, we have the time to be able to help you through that and to send you those instructions and to provide that customer support to you. And so that would be my answer for why you should file now and pay later. What happens when you don't file before the deadline? So here's where we'll discuss those penalties a little bit. So there are penalties, the IRS penalties, when you don't file. So there's a couple of different types of penalties because the IRS is fun like that. So number 1 is a failure to file penalty. So if you have a truck, and if you are on public roads, and if your truck is over 55,000 pounds, and you are required to file the 2290, and you do not file by August 31st, you are going to get an IRS letter that says you failed to file. And so here are penalties. Now, if you do not file and do not pay, your penalties are about 4.5% of the tax due month over month. So, in the long, big, huge scheme of things, it's a couple $100, but it's your business. And so a couple $100 is a couple $100. Why give the IRS more money than you need to when you don't have to? And so you want to avoid those penalties. Now, even if you can't pay the $22.90, you still want to file, because instead of the penalties being 4.5%, it drops down to 0.5%, so 0.5%. So if you file your $22.90, and if you enter that you're going to pay with a check or money order or credit or debit card or whatever, and you can't pay that, you don't have that money right now, even if you don't have it, still file the $22.90, because then your penalty is going to be less. And so instead of a couple $100, it's going to be maybe 50 to 75, because it's only 0.5% when you just have a failure to pay penalty instead of a failure to file penalty. The next question, and we're going to kind of get into more of a how do I correct these things? So these are some of the most frequently asked questions when it comes to actually making mistakes. So again, like I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, if you file and you make a mistake, there are ways to correct this. However, you want to make sure that you have the time to do that. So number one, the first question is, I filed with the wrong first use month. How do I correct that? I'm going to quickly pause my screen and I'm going to jump over to my account where I can show you the steps that you will need to take in order to correct this information. So when you file with a wrong first use month, and I'm not going to walk you through every step. We have lots of help videos on ExpressTruckTax.com. We have, and there's a slide at the end of this that shows where you can go to get more help videos. There's a button up here at the top. We also have a great YouTube presence where we release videos and help videos that walk you through step by step. But I just quickly want to kind of show you where you would go. But basically, you will you'll need to file a new 2290. So let's say that you filed your return and it had a first use month of June 2021. So what you would need to do is you would need to start a new return, and then you would start filing a new 2290. So obviously, if you have one vehicle, you'll choose one. If you have multiple vehicles, you'll choose multiple vehicles. You're going to need to choose the correct first use month on this return. So when you file the 2290, you're going to choose the correct first use month. So let's say you accidentally filed June of 2021 and instead you were supposed to file July of 2021. When you choose this 2290, you need to choose the correct tax year and also the correct first use month. And so then you'll go through and you'll enter in all of the information and you'll actually file this 2290. So what that does is that will give you a corrected Schedule 1. You'll have the correct first use month on that return. However, now the IRS sees that you filed a return with the first use month of June and the first use month of July. And so they're going to expect that you're sending the tax from June and the tax from July. And that is not the case. And so once you file the 2290, then you're also going to need to come back to your dashboard and you're going to click Start New Return again, and you're going to file a Form 8849. And you'll see here, here's all the reasons that you can file an 8849. You're going to choose that you're claiming a credit for overpayment of taxes. And basically what this means is that I made a mistake. And so when you go through this process, you file the 8849 and there's an explanation box here. And basically in that explanation box, you say, I accidentally filed the form with the first use month of June 2021. That was an accident. I do not owe that tax. And here is my corrected Schedule 1. And so then you'll attach both Schedule 1s to this 8849, and that lets the IRS know that you don't owe both of those taxes. One thing to know here is that the 8849s are processed manually by actual people at the IRS. And so that takes a really long time to process, especially now since COVID has happened and they are short-staffed and they are backed up. However, it will be processed in due time. And so you will receive IRS letters that say you owe us for June, you owe us for June. Eventually, you should receive an IRS letter that shows that the balance has been zeroed out because they have processed that 8849. So that is how you would fix a return that was filed with the incorrect first use month. All right, going back to our questions. The next question is, how do I transfer the tax to another vehicle? So there's a couple of reasons why you would do this. I just spoke with somebody just a little bit ago that they filed in July and they sold the vehicle in August and they have a new vehicle. And so, what happens to all that tax that I paid in July for the truck that I sold? So, if you sell a vehicle, that would be a reason why you would file to transfer the tax. The same thing would happen if you destroyed a vehicle. Maybe, again, you paid your tax in July, you got into an accident, and on August 15th, you destroyed that vehicle, and now you're getting a new truck and you want to transfer the tax that you paid on that old truck to the new truck. And that is perfectly acceptable, and you can totally do that. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to show you again, just kind of a very brief way to make that happen. So when you are in your account, what you're going to do is you're going to start a new return and you're going to file a 2290 for the new vehicle. So again, if it's just one truck, you would choose that here, and you're going to file the 2290 for that new truck. You're going to choose the first use month. So let's say that, you're putting the new truck on the road in September. That would be your first use month, is the month that the new truck is going on the road. And then of course, you're going to enter in the new truck information here over in number 2. And what needs to happen at this point is that because you're filing multiple trucks on a return, so this step that I'm showing you right now is literally for one truck. If you have more vehicles, you can click this button down here, and this will take you to allow you to enter more than one truck. So yes, I want to report more vehicles. So that takes you to the section where you're going to be able to enter in those sold and destroyed credits. So when you're filing for that new truck, you're going to pick the first use month. It's going to say, yes, I know I'm filing for a future month. And then when you continue, you're going to add that new truck as a taxable vehicle if that truck is going to be going over 5,000 miles. So you're going to enter that truck information here. And then when you enter that information here, and I'll just quickly, add some information here so you can kind of see what it looks like. When I click save, it's going to calculate my tax owed. So it's going to be $458.33. And that's the tax based on the first use month of September 2001. Now, when I continue and I'm going to now enter in the vehicle that was sold or destroyed, I'm going to click continue until the screen says right here, credits for sold, destroyed, or stolen vehicles. And I'm going to add a credit vehicle. And so now I'm going to enter the information for the vehicle that was sold or destroyed. And what will happen is you'll see that the tax due will it'll zero out or you might owe 1 month of tax. And what makes that difference is, let's say that you destroyed your vehicle in August and you're putting a new truck on the road in August. Well, once it turns August 1st at 12:01 a.m., that tax for August, that $45 is gone on that old truck. So even if you wreck your truck August 1st and you put the new truck on the road August 15th, you're going to owe 1 month of tax. Let's say that you wreck your truck August 15th and you put a new truck on the road in September, then the tax is going to equal itself out. You're not going to owe for a month. But one thing I do want to make you aware of is that when you choose sold and when you choose the date that you sold the vehicle, you also have to enter the information for who it was sold to. So it breaks this down here. If you turned it into a leasing company, you would put that information here. If you sold it privately, you have to get that information from this person. A lot of people call and they don't know that information. This is vital. The IRS requires it. So if you sell a vehicle, make sure you have this information. If I change this to destroyed, that part goes away. You just need to provide an explanation to the IRS. The same for stolen. Just provided an explanation to the IRS. So here, I'm just going to type this and I'm going to click save so that you can see what happens. Is it zeroed out the tax here? So we don't have any tax due. However, you are going to get a stamp Schedule 1 back with that new truck number on it. So that is how you would transfer the tax from a old truck to a new truck. And again, there's lots of different reasons why that would happen, but that is some of the most common: sold, destroyed, or stolen. Next is I chose to make the HVUT, the 2290 payment, with a credit or debit card. Can I change the payment? So when we talk about IRS payment methods, once you transmit the return to the IRS, it's gone. ExpressTruckTax can't stop it to make any kind of changes or anything like that. Once it's transmitted, it's gone. Once it's accepted, there's no changes made at all. So if you chose to make the 2290 payment with a credit or debit card, and you go to irs.gov/payments and you figure out, I don't want to do this, I actually don't want to pay with a credit or debit card, you can't come back to ExpressTruckTax and change it on your form. However, as long as the IRS gets their money by August 31st, they don't care how they get it. So you can still mail a check or money order. So if you come into your account and you have your accepted Schedule 1 there, we can send you a payment voucher. So you can send us an email, or you can do live chat, or you can call us and say, hey, I would like a payment voucher. And we can email that to you. And then you can mail a check or money order. The same thing, if you have an EFTPS account set up and you didn't choose EFTPS, you could still go make the payment through EFTPS. So even though you can't change the method of payment on the return that you submitted with the IRS, if they get their money before August 31st, it's okay. You just can't go back and change it on the return to say, okay, never mind, I don't want to do credit or debit card, I want to pay with my bank account. If you want to pay with your bank account, you have to enter in your account and routing number before you transmit the return. Now, if the return is rejected and you have to go in there and fix something, maybe it's rejected because, I don't know, for whatever reason, you can go in there, and if you're fixing something else, you can also change the method of payment and then again retransmit it. But once it's transmitted, it's gone. So again, this is one of those situations where this happens, and again, this is why you want to file in enough time to make those corrections. I also want to plug our full service option here, is that we do have a full service option where we file everything for you over the phone. We make sure that it's done correctly. And if it's not done correctly, then we will take ownership of that and we'll fix the mistake, no charge. If you filed the 2290 under the wrong name, I'm going to pause really quick because I want to go back over to my development site. So if you filed the 2290 under the incorrect name, it's a lot like fixing the address or doing something like that. So what happens when you file the 2290 under the wrong name is that you've got to correct that. And so, let's say that, Amber's Trucking Company was your company last year, but you decided to change the name of your company and you got a new EIN. Well, if you have a new EIN, you have to go down and you click add new business, and then you have to enter in the business information, the new EIN, the address, all of this information for your new business type. And once you enter in all of this information, you will see that you have all of these businesses on the side. So, if you just have two businesses, you're only going to see, these top two businesses here. But if you just need to change the name, maybe you don't have a new EIN. Maybe this EIN, I just misspelled trucking. And so then in that situation, I could click edit here and I could edit the business name here. So I could, I can change how trucking is spelled. Maybe I added 2 G's there and it was only supposed to be 1. And then I would go down and click update. So that's a couple of different ways. If you have a new EIN, you have to add a new business and all of the new business information. If you just misspelled something up here in your name and it's not a new EIN, then you would update it here on your dashboard. Once the name is updated or once the business is added, then you would need to start a new 2290, file a 2290 with the correct name. If you had to add a new business, maybe let's say that Amber's Trucks was my new business. And so I'm going to click to go to Amber's Trucks and then start a new 2290 there. So once you file the 2290, again, because you filed a 2290 previously under the wrong business, you have to file an 8849 under that business too. Because again, you're going to have two 2290s with the same tax year. And according to the IRS, they're going to say, hey, you owe us tax for both of these returns that you filed. So because you need a Schedule 1 with the correct name, spelling, or the correct EIN, you need to file a 2290 under that business, but then you also need to file an 8849 under the incorrect business to say this was a mistake. You would do it for overpayment of taxes. And in that section, that explanation box, you're going to say, I have a new business name and EIN. I didn't mean to file under this business name. I'm attaching both Schedule 1s so that you can see I did file under the correct EIN. I don't owe these taxes. And then you're going to submit that. And again, that's processed manually. Expect to get those IRS letters, but also expect to eventually get a letter that negates that tax. So that is how you would correct if you filed under the incorrect name. That is a little bit, there are a couple of different situations there. Again, like if you just accidentally misspelled the name, you would do it one way. If you filed under the completely wrong name and EIN, you would do it a different way. Again, we have customer support here, and we are more than happy to answer any questions for you. So if this did happen to you, please contact us because we're more than happy to send you those steps and how to correct it. And then again, we've got that full service option that if you don't want to correct it on your own, we are happy to do it for you. All right, so number 8 is I filed for the wrong truck. Can I correct this? So the short answer is yes, you can correct it. You would not use a VIN correction for this, because what can happen is that when the IRS is looking at the 2290s, if you filed for, VIN number XYZ over here, and you filed a VIN correction and you filed a completely different VIN, the IRS thinks that you're trying to get away with filing for 2 trucks, but only paying tax one time, because you don't pay tax when you do a VIN correction. So if you filed for the completely wrong VIN number on a truck, you have to file a new 2290 with the completely right VIN. And when it comes to the tax payment, if you already paid the tax on the incorrect return, then you would just choose EFTPS or check or money order on this second return, so that it's not being debited directly out of your bank account again. So you're not paying twice. And then you would go through and file that return. You would get a stamp Schedule 1 back with the correct VIN number on it. Then you need to file an 8849, again, for tax overpayment, to tell the IRS, look, I filed for this completely wrong VIN and I don't even own that truck anymore, or that truck is broken down, it's in the shop. I don't even, that truck is not on the road right now. And so then you would attach both of those stamp Schedule 1s, and you would file that 8849 to let the IRS know that you don't owe $1,100, you only owe $550, and you've already made that payment, even though it was made on the wrong truck, basically. So that is how you would fix if you file for the completely wrong truck. Now, there are times where you will file a VIN correction. Maybe you transpose 2 of the letters and numbers, or maybe you leave off a couple numbers at the end of the VIN. Those are reasons why you would file a VIN correction. If the IRS can look at the original return and the VIN correction and tell that it's the same truck, then you would be able to file a VIN correction. And again, when you file a VIN correction, it's free if you filed the original with ExpressTruckTax, and you just go through the process. We will ask for your credit card. That is for our system to allow the return to be processed. But you will notice that it says $0 and your card will not be charged. That's another one of our frequently asked questions. If you did not file the return with us, number 1, bad mistake. But number 2, then it's only $19.90 to file that VIN correction. So yes, you can correct filing for the completely wrong truck, but it would be a new 2290 with the correct VIN number, and also the 8849 to tell the IRS that you made a mistake on the original return. Number 9 is I filed a vehicle as exempt, but it's going over 5,000 miles. So whether this was on purpose, like whether you really did think that your vehicle was going to go under 5,000 miles, or whether you accidentally chose that little checkbox over that says, is your vehicle suspended, and you chose yes. Either way, you can file an amendment. And so I'm going to pause my screen really quick, and I'm going to take us back over to my account so I can show you what this looks like. So basically what would happen is that when you realize that you're going over 5,000 miles, or if you turn in your stamp Schedule 1 to your company, or if you go to the DMV and they're like, you have a category W on here and you're not a category W, you're supposed to be a category V. What you would need to do is you're going to file an amendment. So again, start new return, and down here at the bottom are 2290 amendments. And there's 3 types of amendments. We just talked about the VIN correction. We will sometimes talk about gross weight increases. But right here, what we're talking about right now is the mileage limit exceeded. So if you're going over that 5,000, or if you accidentally filed as suspended and you meant to file as taxable, you're going to do a mileage exceeded amendment. And this is going to allow you to correct that return or to modify that return. And so basically you're going to fill out the information here. You'll choose, okay, yes, I filed my return. This is the month that I went over the mileage. And then it's going to take you to the IRS tax payment section where you're going to choose how you want to pay the tax, because now that you're going over 5,000 miles, you've got to pay that tax. And so you'll choose your tax payment and you'll submit the return. You will get a stamp schedule 1 back in just a matter of minutes, and it will have that category, whatever your gross weight is, whatever you choose, it will have that category listed there. So again, there are lots of different mistakes that can be made, but there's lots of different ways that we can help and correct those mistakes as well. So, again, just want to reiterate how important it is to file now so that you are not rushing. If you make a mistake like this on August 30th, you're not rushing like, oh, what do I do? You have plenty of time to do it right now. And then last but not least, we are going to talk about, you entered the wrong gross weight. And this happens, it's not the end of the world. There's a drop down menu and you have to choose the gross weight of your truck. Again, the gross weight is your truck, trailer, and the maximum load. And so it's also the weight that's listed on your cab card or your registration card. But sometimes you just choose the wrong one, and you'll just need to come back and do an amendment. And we're going to go to the exact same place that we were at last time, where you click Start New Return. You're going to choose the Form 2290 amendments, start an amendment. And then right here in the middle is the taxable gross weight increase. And so obviously you'll start this return, you'll enter in the information, you'll submit the return to the IRS. And then again, within minutes, you'll have a corrected stamp schedule 1 back with that correct weight category. So that is how you would correct a return that was filed with the incorrect gross weight. Also, when you file a return with the gross weight, let's say that you filed your gross weight as a category B as in boy, and it was supposed to be V as in Victor. When you correct that on here in the amendment, it's going to take you to that IRS payment section because you only paid the tax at the level of B as in boy. You didn't pay the tax at the level of V as in Victor. And the tax is based on how heavy your vehicle is. And so it's going to ask you, hey, how do you want to pay this additional tax? So you'll enter that information. This is a cool fact. There's no way to go down in weight. And I don't know that I've ever heard somebody call and say, hey, I'm at the DMV and my stamp schedule 1 has a V as in Victor and I'm only a G as in golf. They don't care. As long as it's where it needs to be or above, there's no way to edit the return and make it go down in weight, if that makes sense. So that's how you would correct a return that has the wrong gross weight on it. Going back to just some really quick reminders, and then we'll answer any kind of questions or anything like that in just a couple of seconds. Make sure you have filed your 2122 Form 2290. The deadline is August 31st. Please, 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 please. Please don't wait until August 31st. If you have a vehicle that weighs over 55,000 pounds, you're required to file. If you're leased with a company, check with your company to make sure, are you required to file it or are they filing it for you? If you run under your own authority and you have your own plates, it's all you. You must file and pay. So again, I keep saying this, you have to file and pay. Your payment has to be received on time. If you choose EFTPS, and if you already have an EFTPS account set up, you have to schedule that payment at 8 p.m. the day before the deadline. So by August 30th on 8 p.m., that payment has to be scheduled or else it won't be considered on time. If you do not have an EFTPS account, it takes at least 15 business days to set up that account. And so you don't have time. So if you don't already have one, you don't want to choose EFTPS, You want to go with another one of those methods of payment. All right. For additional help, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but for additional help, we have an awesome support system. Again, we have live support here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. We have phone, email, chat support, but we also have this really great knowledge base. And so if you're logged into your account, or if you are on our homepage, up at the top, there's a tab that says support. And then you can go to our knowledge base. That is, you can type in some of your frequently asked questions there, and it kind of just takes you down a black hole, and you just keep going and searching and all that good stuff. We also have wonderful blogs that are helpful and walk you through step by step with some of these frequently asked questions. So please make use of these. Also, what's not in the box but should be is our video section. I already mentioned it, and maybe Caleb, I don't know if you can put it in there. Oh, you already did. Perfect. Our YouTube channel, we have Express Amber, and Express Amber talks about Form 2290 things, and also our ExpressTruckTax YouTube channel. And that has a lot of these helpful features, and it kind of goes through more step by step. It actually takes you step by step. There's quite a few videos that do that. So please make use of those sections and those resources. But then again, we're here and we're happy to help at any time. All right. Questions and answers. Do we have any questions or answers? No. You would have questions and I would have your answers. And so if we do have any questions, I'm happy to answer questions at this time. And then we'll kind of end it here tonight. And then again, we're in the office 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern time. And that will only increase as we get closer to the deadline. I do have one question. I'm thinking about buying my own truck in October. When should I file for the truck? So if you are purchasing a vehicle in October and you plan to put the truck on the road in October, then you should wait until you have the truck, number one, because I've heard of people who, oh, I'm going to pick up the truck, and then they get there and it's actually a different truck, or they never get the truck, or whatever happens. But wait until you get the truck, and then you would file for the 2290 with the first use month of October, if that's when it's going on the road. One of the things that I get asked, and we have a question about, is that I'm leasing on to whatever company, and I'm going to orientation, and they want me to bring a copy of my 2290. And so that's great. One of the things, the very, very, very first step in filing a 2290 is that you need an EIN. You need an employer identification number. And this comes from the IRS. If you do not have one, we, again, our full service can get an EIN for you. But it takes an EIN 10 to 15 business days to be put into the IRS e-file system. So you'll actually get the EIN number the same day. You're filling out the application. We'll get it for you. We'll send you your EIN. Here's your number. But in order for the e-file to go through the system and to be matched up with that number, it takes the IRS 10 to 15 business days to put that number into their system. And so until that number is in the system, the return will be rejected. So if you're scheduled to go to orientation next week and you don't even have an EIN, that's a problem. You want to make sure, as soon as you have a thought in your head of, oh, I want to go lease onto this company, or, oh, I want to drive a truck, or I want to open my own company and drive my own truck, the very first thing that you should do is get an EIN. And that way you're ready to go no matter what comes next. So that's a freebie for you. Any other questions? I know we've gone over a lot of questions tonight, some of our most frequently asked questions, but any other questions at this time? What if my truck is 53,000? So the if your truck is 53,000 pounds and that is the gross weight, then you are not required to file. It is only if it is 55,000 pounds or over with the gross weight. The truck, the trailer, and the maximum load would be 55,000. That's the least that's required. If it's 53,000, you are not required to file the Form 2290. You're welcome. Absolutely. All right. So as we get closer to the deadline, we are going to be amping up our online presence and making sure that we're here for any kind of questions. Again, our support team will be here an unlimited amount of hours, and I'll be doing a Facebook Live next Wednesday. And so come and chat with me. Don't make me just sit on there by myself. That's really uncomfortable. So just come chat. You know, we can talk about whatever within reason. You know what I mean? But come and sit with me next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we'll just have a good time and talk about trucking stuff. You might be able to educate me on some stuff, and I might be able to educate you. So join me next week. And again, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I hope that I was able to answer some of your questions. And if you have further questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We are here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. right now, Eastern time. And again, as we get closer to that deadline, that end time will just be kind of a question mark. We'll just stay here until we're needed. And that's really what we're here for. And that's how we've grown our business, is by helping you guys. So thank you again. I hope that you have learned something here tonight. And if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the contact information below. And we also have live chat as well. So have a great night. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk soon.